I cracked the code to corporate interviews because I secured my Big 4 offer in less than 13 applications. And I'm going to share the exact techniques with you that helped me smash these interviews. I'm going to tell you about one of my most awkward interview moments. Everyone thinks that you need to almost come across as this perfect person, but corporate doesn't want you to be perfect. They want to know who you actually are as a person. I was doing the interview for one of the Big 4 and I was asked a question. The question was, introduce yourself to a senior member of the team. And I started strong, but halfway through, I said something like, oh yeah, I'd ask for their number afterwards. And then I realized how inappropriate that actually sounded. So I was like, yo, hold up. I didn't mean it like that. Obviously in a professional way, I giggled and then I was like, actually no, that can come across as a bit unprofessional. And I said, you know what, I'll just stick to email. And I knew in that moment that I'd messed up. Also, I thought I did. And I thought, you know what, this offer's gone. It's never going to come back. But lo and behold, I got the offer. See, the thing is, I had two choices in that moment. The first one was to panic, or the second one was to laugh it off. If I panicked, the interviewer would see, oh my god, she can't compose herself or handle herself under pressure. So I fast-tracked in that moment and I thought, you know what? Let me continue and laugh it off. Because if I laugh it off, it will show I am confident in my own abilities to own myself and my mistake. And then I corrected myself and I picked right back up. And this is the thing you need to realize. Recruiters don't expect perfection. They want to see how you recover, how you can think on your feet, how you can demonstrate adaptability. So don't worry if you mess up. Just stay calm, just own it, stay calm and keep going. So the first one was embrace mistakes and have no fear. The second thing is a technique you may have seen. It's called the STAR method. And the STAR method is a really good way to answer behavioral questions in the interviews. I'm gonna go over the different types of interview questions you'll come across again, but you need to make sure you're using the STAR method if you wanna smash your interviews out the park. So STAR is an acronym and it stands for situation, so S, T for task, A for action, and R for result. And this is exactly how you want to structure your answers when it comes to answering the interview question. Let's say, for example, you're asked a question, tell me about a time you had to handle conflict in a team. Immediately, your mind will go to STAR. Instead of scrambling around for answers and thinking, oh my god, no, what do I say? I don't know how to structure my answer. You just use STAR. And I'm going to walk you through how to use this. So, S for situation. What you want to do is explain the context of the situation. So going back to the question where it says, tell me about the time you handled conflict in a team, right? What was the context? Think back to a time you had to handle conflict, okay? You have to realize it doesn't just have to be about corporate or internships. No, they want to know how you think on your feet. So you don't have to use examples that are related to work. You can talk about university, you can talk about your personal life, a time you were on a football team and you encountered conflict, anything. They just want to know how you handle yourself in these situations, okay? So let's give a group project as an example during university. So situation, in a group project, 2 team members had a disagreement about priorities. So here, that's the situation. You're explaining the context. In a group project, 2 team members had a disagreement about priorities. Next, we move on to T, task. So this is essentially asking, what was your role in this, okay? You can say, it was my role to mediate and ensure the project stayed on track, okay? So immediately, you've given the situation and you've explained the task, okay? Next step, A is action. What did you do about it? So you can say, I scheduled a quick meeting. Let each person explain their perspective and help the team agree on a clear timeline. So you go from situation, you go to task, and you go to action. And then you conclude with the result, okay? Result asks how the situation turns out. You need to remember that when they're asking you these behavioral-based questions about times you responded in certain situations, they're not really looking at how you answer. They're looking to see how you would react in that situation and if you demonstrate the company's values, okay? So, result, how did it turn out? We finished the project ahead of schedule and got top marks as a result of this. You always want to use the STAR method because it's literally guiding them through the process. It's storytelling. It's showing them your thought process, how you were in the situation, the task you had, the actions you did to mitigate the difficulty and the circumstance, and the result you achieved as a result of this, okay? This is so important. The reason STAR works is because it turns your mini answers into stories that are easy to follow and demonstrate your exact thought process. And it's showing the recruiters exactly how you handle these real life situations, okay? So the third thing you need to know is the difference between behavioral-based questions and motivation-based questions. So one thing that threw me off while I was initially studying for these interviews was that I didn't know the difference between behavioral and motivational based questions. And these are the two main types of questions that you will encounter in all of your interviews, okay? Behavioral questions, they focus on your past actions and what you've done in the past, okay? They usually start with tell me about. So tell me about a time where you handle conflict. And for the behavioral based questions, you want to make sure that you're using the STAR method to answer, because like I said, in this, they want to see your thought process and they want to see your storytelling ability, okay? The motivation based questions, they focus on why you're here. So for example, why do you want to work at this company? Why this role? What motivated you to apply for this? Or where do you see yourself in 5 years, okay? So these are the two main different types of questions that you will encounter. For motivational questions, the key you need to understand is that it's all about connecting your goals to the company's own mission, okay? Their values. And for this, you should do some research behind the scenes about the company. So let's say you're applying to one of the big 4 firms. What you want to do is before the interview, you want to make sure you look up and read about any news, their values, their missions, read their About Us page. And based on this, you can tie in your missions to their missions. So for example, let's say that one of the big 4 firms likes sustainability and AI. So let's use AI as an example. Let's say they're pushing AI, okay? You can talk about, in the motivational based questions, that you can say something like, I'm very passionate about AI and this company is also passionate about AI and therefore I feel like I'd be a great fit in this company, or something like that, okay? So always look and do your research beforehand, because this way you can tie in your motivation with the company's motivation. And this is literally the clearest way of telling them that you're the perfect fit for the role. The way you answer these shows that you've actually done your homework and that you're not just applying randomly. So step 4 is undoubtedly one of the most important parts of the interview, okay? And it's all about how you tell your story, okay? Storytelling is one of the most underrated components, and this is a big reason that most candidates fail when it comes to these interviews. I know what it's like to have a question thrown at you and then you start panicking because you feel like you don't know the answer. But when you have a storytelling technique in mind, you will smash it, and I'm going to explain how. You need to remember one thing always. Recruiters are not just testing your knowledge, okay? They're testing your thinking. They're testing your storytelling. You need to realize the biggest mistake that most candidates make is that they start listing out their achievements and they start listing out their skills and accomplishments. And while these are important to a certain extent, these aren't really telling the recruiter anything about what you're like as a person and the value you can bring to the team. You need to remember this key phrase. Facts don't stick, but stories do, okay? Facts do not stick, stories do, okay? And this will help you so much in the interview process. Stories don't just answer the question. They show recruiters how you think, how you lead, how you solve problems, how you act in certain situations, and how you will act in the company if you are offered the position, okay? They make you memorable. So how do you answer these? Obviously using the STAR method, but let's go a layer deeper, okay? You want to make sure that you're including context. So you want to talk about what happened. There's 3 main pillars here, okay? The first one is what happened. The second one is you need to show action, aka what did you do? And the third one is to highlight your results. So what did you achieve? Obviously this is the STAR method, but these are the 3 main things that you need to remember when it comes to storytelling. So let me give an example. Let's say in the interview they ask you, how do you handle tight deadlines? And you say, I work hard under pressure, and that's all you say. That's so boring. They're not going to remember you. You sound like everyone else in the sea of applicants. Instead, go into the specifics, go into the detail. Tell them the story about the time you delivered a project with a 48-hour deadline because you had to reorganize your priorities and pull an all-nighter because one of your team members was sick. Okay, this is exactly what they want to see. They want to see your problem-solving skills, and I can't emphasize this enough, okay? You want to keep it relevant, you want to show impact, you want to be specific, and practice your stories as much as you can. So the last step is undoubtedly one of the most important steps of the interview, okay? It's called the killer question. And you're probably wondering, Abiha, what is a killer question? Well, don't worry, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. So at the end of the interview, most candidates make the mistake of just saying, oh, thanks for your time, and then they just, leave the Zoom meeting or whatever. The mistake most candidates make is that they think the end of the interview is just a formality. You've just spent 45 minutes together in a room, whether it's a breakout room or an actual in-person room, with this person you've never met before. Ask them questions about them. Ask them questions about the role. Did you know the more likely you are to ask someone a question about them, the more likely they are to warm up to you and actually like you. Okay? So this is what you need to realize. When they ask you at the end of the interview, do you have any questions for us? Don't just freeze, okay? Ask them something like, what does your role look like? What is the company culture like? Ask them a question about the role that's also about them, because that will leave a lasting impression, and it's also a bit of a low-key psychological hack. The questions you ask at the end of the interview can absolutely transform how the recruiter sees you. They're not just assessing your answers, okay? They're assessing your curiosity, your ambition, your willingness to learn, and whether you're actually serious about the role. So when you ask these questions, you need to consider these 3 crucial factors, okay? Show genuine interest in the company. Prove that you've thought deeply about the role and that you're making yourself memorable as someone who wants to excel, not just get started. That's the most crucial part. A few examples of questions you could ask is, what does success look like in this role in the first 6 months, in your opinion? Or what's one challenge the team is currently facing and how can this role help solve it? Or what inspired you to join this company? These are all lists of good questions you can ask them. And that concludes cracking the code to corporate interviews. And this is exactly how I did it. If you guys found this video useful, make sure you hit subscribe. Also, I help students break into corporate roles, so go check out the link in my bio if you need personalized help, because it will show you the exact blueprint that helped me secure a corporate role in less than 13 applications if you want to do the same. So make sure you hit subscribe for more value like this, and I'll see you guys in the next video.